British Empire and Commonwealth, where it was not previously been publicized. And let's start America 360 with some breaking news now coming in. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that he had a warm and productive conversation with US President Donald Trump, noting progress in bilateral ties and cooperation on global peace and stability. The exchange comes as India and the United States continue working through key trade negotiations. Previously, India's Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal said the trade talks are progressing well, pushing back on remarks made by India's chief economic advisor. Goyal notes that 5 substantive rounds of negotiations have already taken place and stresses the goal is a mutually beneficial deal, not one rushed by deadlines. And now joining us in this discussion is a retired Major General G.G. Dwivedi, who is an international relations and defense expert, joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you, sir, for joining us here at NewsX World. Now, very crucial development coming in, Modi and Trump holding talks, and notably, this is just day after Netanyahu and Prime Minister Modi had also held a conversation in which Netanyahu briefed the Prime Minister Modi of the West Asia situation and the Gaza peace plan.
Well, Kriti, I'm sure this development is a very positive sign because there was some kind of impression that there is tension between President Trump and Prime Minister Modi, but I think this meeting puts at rest those type of conjecturing. And this meeting is important because of a couple of reasons. First and foremost, the American National Security Strategy Doctrine was unveiled only last week, and in which the doctrine has given a very prominent role for India, especially in Indo-Pacific. And so therefore, I think this meeting only takes forward what are the American or the US strategic goals. And to that extent, I think India is a strategic partner. We have a special strategic partnership with the US, and there are a number of issues on which we are on the same page, be it Indo-Pacific, be it South Asia per se, and also our cooperation in the area of security, in the area of defense, and especially when you talk of compact, that is the critical technologies for military use, and also, as you rightly mentioned, that the talks are going on for the suitable or the favorable trade agreement on which a lot of work has gone in. So I can say in a nutshell that this meeting comes as a very important meeting. It puts at rest a lot of conjecturing that was going on. India-US relations are very deep-rooted, and in fact, I have been talking about and rather advocating that there may be small irritants, but largely our relationship with America are strategic in nature, very deep-rooted, and we share same values. Our national objectives are same, and also our strategic objectives and goals are same. So I think that this meeting comes at a crucial time. Well, globe is rebalancing, and in fact, in the meeting, all the minutes or the statement that have come out that our relationship between the two countries are moving forward despite the geopolitical flux. Kriti.
Right. Now, sir, this is also coming after the US trade representative had said that he's got the best ever deal from India. The US has got the best ever deal from India, and then Prime Minister Modi and President Trump hold a phone call. This is indeed a signal in the positive direction, especially after the sanctions threats that had been looming large just a couple of months ago. So a welcome change, and also goes on to show how the United States now cannot overlook the importance that a large economy as India has in the global market.
Absolutely, Kriti, because India is definitely an emerging power, and it has a lot of heft and clout, because not only it is a economy that is growing up, but its positioning in the South Asia, its positioning in the Asia Pacific itself has a very important role, which America had realized right from the early part of this century. And these small irritants do come about, and every president, every leader has a certain amount of, you can say, fixations, and President Trump has fixation with the, what you call tariffs or the buying oil from Russia. I think to that extent, India also has toned down, and our requirement of oil or the purchase of oil from Russia has come down, and that has gone in favor of the President Trump's, fixation. And also, you see, when you take the larger picture, it's very important that India fits in well with the American strategic objectives and goals. And so also for India, America as a partner is very, very important. Whether you take Quad or you take the other geopolitical issues, especially when you take the South Asia, you take Asia Pacific, you take Indo Pacific, India fits in well into the larger design. And this trade deal was actually moving forward, but there were certain glitches. Like India has its own national interest, we had certain reservations on our agriculture, on our dairy products, and also it had to be balanced out. See, good agreements are win-win situation, and it appears that India and America has decided to meet midway, and that's how this trade deal is also possibly would be inked in very near future. But point I'm trying to make is that there are no major issues or major irritants. The small ones have been ironed out, and I think from now on, the relationship actually should progress the way the trajectory was since last about 2 decades.
All right,
Preeti.
retired Major General, let's also talk about global peace that Prime Minister Modi has, said about in his tweet after talking with Trump. Uh, like I said yesterday, there was a phone call with Netanyahu, and now Trump, whose patience apparently seems to be running out with Ukraine and Russia as far as the peace plan is concerned, is now holding a conversation with Prime Minister Modi. What does that go on to show about Prime Minister Modi's leadership in mediating international wars?
Well, when the countries interact or deal with each other, one is the personal leadership, and secondly is the policies of the government. And they see, India has always stood for peace,
Yeah.
and we have never taken sides. And Mr. Modi has also been advocating that, look, as a Ukraine war is concerned, we need to give diplomacy, dialogue a chance. It's not the era of war. That have been stated by him over a number of times. And second point is that India has good relations with most of the countries. Like Russian President Putin was here for almost a day plus, and a lot of discussion would have gone through. And I'm sure Ukraine would have been discussed in entirety, because when President Putin came here, he had a long conversation, dialogue with Mr. Witkoff and Kushner. They were there in Moscow. And similarly, India has very good relations with Israel and also with the Palestinians. The point at issue is that India has multilateral engagements. We have good relations with most of the countries, but for our odd neighbor, which is, is a sort of, they have own policies, we are not able to figure it out. But the point is that largely, India stands for peace, India leadership stands for peace, and Prime Minister Modi has always advocated that it is through dialogue and diplomacy we can sort out most of the problems. And in this case, I'm sure President Trump would be banking upon Prime Minister Modi, because he has a good relation with President Putin, a good relation with Prime Minister Netanyahu, and also Prime Minister Modi had visited Ukraine and also
Yes.
had a conversation with President Zelensky. So the point is that we are engaging with all, we have good relationship with all, and I'm sure we can, Prime Minister Modi and India per se, can help in restoring peace in the conflict that are going on, especially in Ukraine and in Gaza, between Israel and Hamas.
Well, absolutely. Thank you
Preeti.
for now, retired Major General, for joining us and helping us with your perspective and give an explanation of that phone call between the two leaders. And with that, viewers, let's move on to some more news now in